we also like to kind of discuss projections, right? So like in your thoughts, right, where you guys are looking at this from your client's perspective and everything else, where do you see kind of us maybe in 18 months or 24 months from now? So let's just say post-vaccine, you know, do you think kind of there is a V-shaped recovery? Do you think we get back to normal as far as valuations and the amount of, you know, maybe dry powder or money or that investors are kind of sitting on that are anxiously waiting to come back to the market? What are your thoughts on in the next year or two from now?
Well, I mean, you know, again, I think Los Angeles is a great market, and you know the fundamentals are great. There's still going to be a shortage of housing. Now, that being said, you know, there could be turbulent times. We are, you know, concerned with just, you know, this small blimp of, you know, 3-4 months, you know, how quickly things turn, how every lender backed out. There's no more construction financing, especially if you don't have a long resume. But, you know, we always advise our clients to examine their options to make sure they have enough equity, you know, on the sidelines to weather a storm, you know, to make sure that they're sitting enough cash in case tenants aren't paying rent, in case X, Y, and Z. You know, it's a lot easier in the multifamily space than it might be in retail.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess my opinion would be, obviously it depends on what sector you're talking about. You know, I think office, it's not multifamily is what we do, but office, for example, I think some people are worried about that because people are starting to get used to working remotely. It's time will tell. No one, as Phil's favorite saying is, no one has a crystal ball. You can just make your best guess, of course. But so I don't know about office, but multifamily, the fundamentals are still very strong. I think very short term, as in like now until the election, I think that we're going to see a lot more deal flow. There's I think there's $8 billion of 1031 exchange money floating around needs to be placed in the next 30 days or so. Yeah. So I think a lot of deals get done on the very short term. And then, you know, usually before an election, a couple months before an election year, it kind of pauses a little the market because of uncertainty. People wait to see who wins. So we'll see if that happens. And then in the next year, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I wouldn't expect prices to go up, that's for sure. But I don't see a huge drop. I don't see the fundamentals, especially in Los Angeles multifamily, are strong. You know, the development's another thing because developers got to look 2, 3, 4 years in advance. So how developers are going to look at deals right now is a little up in the air.
And I think, you know, what something that kind of scares a lot of our clients, it's not necessarily the election, the U.S. elections, which is a concern to everybody, but it's more what's in the pipeline for California. You know, you have Rent Affordability Act, which would be vacancy control. Now, I think that's a very liberal policy, you know, and I never thought it would have any legs, but it passed in June of last year in New York City. So it could very well happen here. And especially since in a time of crisis, you see there's a lot of these programs kind of getting more traction. And they're also Prop 13, you know, repealing Prop 13. It's not written for apartment buildings per se, but everybody knows once you do it for retail and industrial, it's going to be for every investment property. So I think those two could impact values tremendously.
Yeah, he's right. The biggest risk to Los Angeles multifamily value are laws, our new legislature coming through. That would be the only thing that I could see making a big impact in the market, which is possible.
Yeah, I've spoken to a few developers even here, and they seem optimistic. I think you're right, Phil. The point is that they're looking 3, 4, 5 years down the line, and essentially, you know, the housing crisis and the shortage is still existent here, right? Post pandemic, that's always going to be something that we have to kind of look toward building, adding more inventory toward, and that kind of works hand to hand in multifamily sales as well. So I think both are still, the outlook is definitely strong. I think it's just been this kind of unexpected, right, occurrence that has happened for everybody that kind of, you know, put a pause on things. But you're right. I think even the developers that we speak to all the time are just looking for sites, looking to build right now at this point.
Yeah, we have a huge housing shortage. We need more units. We need easier lot. We need the city to make it easier to build too. That's a different conversation.
We're hoping to have that too. We're trying to get some more people in planning department if we can on this podcast.
Talk to them. We need more units.
Sign the petition.
We need more units. They're making it so hard for developers to build stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.